What's up guys, Seth here, back with another video on Marvel Contest of Champions, and today I just wanted to have a bit of a yap and talk about some things that I think Kabam should be putting in the game for a bit of a quality of life improvement. I got 5 things that I want to go over, which I think will all vastly improve the mechanics of the game and just make everything a little bit more convenient. And they're things that I've been thinking about for a while that I just wish that they worked this way, and they currently don't. So I wanted to share it, see what you guys think, and just get these ideas out there so maybe one day they can be implemented into the game. The first thing that I cannot believe is not a thing in the game still is filters in your item stash. For some reason, items is one of the only sections in the stash which does not have a filter. And it's a section which, for myself at least, very quickly fills up with items, and I sometimes miss things expiring because I'll see a stack of potions expiring that I'm not going to use in time, but then I don't realize that there's an energy refill hidden in there or potentially some signature stones. And those things are valuable, but they just kind of expire because they get missed. Or especially for selling items, I normally want to go through and sell, you know, if I've got a bunch of arena boosts or something, rather than having to tap every single item over and over to be able to sell them all, and having to do everything within batches of 100 items as well is so painful and slow, especially when you're further in the game and you've often got an abundance of items either through like your solo crystals or through health potions or boosts that you're getting from events, and you want to either be able to sell them or know when you have to use them by so that they don't expire. It's just crazy that they don't have a filter for it. I don't know why they don't have one, and I know these filters might sound complicated to make, but they're kind of already in the game. If you go into your inventory, you'll see it's already broken up into health and energy, champion items, boosts, and other. Why couldn't we just have this? If I could just filter by health and energy, filter by champion items, filter by boosts, it'd be so much easier to know what I've got to remove, what I've got to use in time, what's expiring, what's coming up, whether there's a few signature stones expiring amongst my potions. I just think it would make a whole lot of sense to implement something like that, just for that sort of peace of mind that you know you're not losing things that are actually valuable amongst all the rubble. The next thing I've got is something that's also sort of based off of your items and inventory, and that is being able to see what is in your stash when you're purchasing something. So now that we've got the Mysterium store and you're buying a lot of items at the moment, if you're like me and trying to rank up all your champions, you're going to be going into overflow for a lot of items. And you'll see now that if you're currently in overflow, I can't see how many of these catalysts are in the overflow. I might think, oh, I've got 27. Okay, well, I'll buy a bunch more. Let's get another 10 tier 4 catalysts. And then we go into our inventory and we see, oh, I already had an additional 117 in my stash before making that purchase. I think just having your stash visible like it is when you look in your inventory would just be way more useful, because then you also know exactly how many you need. Say if you're going to be ranking up 10 champions and you know you need this amount of catalysts, but you can't see your stash from when you're purchasing the catalysts, I just think it doesn't make any sense. I think it just should be part of the game. They've got it in other aspects of the game. They've got the inventory access. They've got the ability to see the stash in all other sections of the game, like through your inventory or through rewards and quests and stuff. Even then it pops up. So why it wouldn't pop up with a purchase, I just don't think it makes any sense. So that's just another little thing that I think that they should implement, which would just be a nice little bit of convenience in the game as well. Now, sort of on the context of filters as well, there is a section of the inventory which is particularly cluttered, and that is all of your ascension items. I got no idea why all of these tokens don't have their own separate section already. It's crazy that they're all under champion items to me. The champion items tab is already busy enough. You know, you've got all your awakening gems for all the star levels, all of your rank up gems, all of your signature stones. Everything is a bit of a mess in here, and it also doesn't really sort it or filter it by anything particular as well. Often you have to kind of go searching. Like for example, my 6-star gems are here, and then it goes to my lower star ones, and then it jumps up to other stars, and then it goes to some rank up gems there, but then there's also some rank up gems here. There's just no kind of order to it. It makes no sense, but that's another conversation. The main thing that I want to focus on is that ascension items are also taking up so much space and just making this situation worse in the champion item tab. I don't know why they can't just make a separate section for all of your champion items, maybe honestly even keeping the tokens in the champion item section and making an entirely separate one for champion ascension tokens as well. Because these ones, you know, once they add more and more ascended champions, imagine the game when there's 200 ascendable champions and you've potentially got what, 10, 20 rows of champion tokens sitting in your champion item tab. That's not going to work for me. That's not going to fly. So I think they need to shuffle this around. I mean, you can see how bad the filter is. There's even a few more champion tokens down here that just for some reason are split up as well. I just think this needs to be a whole other section. I think they should have the champions separately. I think they should also make even like an entirely separate section in the inventory. Maybe it could be one total ascension tab, and then that ascension tab has it broken down even into classes passes potentially, or into champion tokens, or at least making it alphabetical, like anything like that. Any kind of quality of life change into the filtering and the organizing the game, I think would be a big improvement as well. Alongside also chucking the dust in there, put the dust aside there, put all the items that you need for ascending champions that are separate to ranking up, it's separate to Sig Stones and Awakening Gems and stuff, put it all in a separate tab. I don't want to see it in here. I only want to see it when I go looking for it, and right now it's a mess and it's annoying. So that's something that I want to see change in the game, and I don't think I'm alone in that belief. I think everyone also wants to see this change as well. Now the fourth thing is actually something that I thought of when the Metamorphosis event was going on. Under the trade-in section of the event, you could trade in the Ascendable Champion rank up gems for either like Omega Days rank up gems or Heart of Fire rank up gems. And then I thought, you know what, maybe that would be more useful. Maybe I've got more champions from the Heart of Fire event that I want to rank up instead of Ascendable champions. And then I looked into the filters and I realized there's no way for me to see what those champions were and who was in that event without going off of the game and Googling it. I just think that for collections of champions, when we're often having events where you're focusing on 6 specific champions or a few specific champions, they should just make a tag for it, or have a section where if you go into the tags, there maybe is a separate section entirely where it's events and you can see Metamorphosis, or you can see Heart of Fire, or you can see Omega Days, anything like that, just to make it a bit easier to refer back to what was done in the past, so we can see kind of the types of champions that were in those events, and you can see who to use those rank up gems on. Because a lot of the time as well, you're going to get a reward based on like a saga gem or something like that, and you can't actually go back and see who you want to use it on. And so I think that'd be really beneficial. They could do the same sort of thing with saga champions too. If they could have, you know, a Tooth and Claw saga area, and you go in there and you can see all the champions that were under the Tooth and Claw tags as well. I just think that'd be really handy. And I think on the context of other filters and sort of being able to sort your things and know exactly what you've got, I think that would just be really beneficial and a really handy thing to have for where you get a gem for an event that has passed potentially years ago, and now you've got to use it and you need to figure out who to use it on. I just think that makes a lot of sense to just add something in like that. Whether it's through a tag or whether it's through a separate filter for specific events, I just think they should chuck something in like that. Now, the last thing that I want to talk about is auto fight. Now, auto fight is basically a mechanic in the game where you can tap auto fight and it will do the fights for you. As it said, it'll move forward in a quest, it'll complete the fights. It is really, really bad, so you can only really use it if your champions are substantially better than the opponent. Now, you're probably wondering, you know, auto fight's already a mechanic. What's the quality of life change you'd like to see? So at the moment with auto fight, as I said, you go into a quest, you click the path you want to take, it'll fight the champions, but as soon as it gets to the next choice of the path, it stops. And I think they need to change it so that you can sort of decide the path that you want to take prior to the auto fight starting. So for example, if I wanted to auto fight this quest, I hit autoplay and nothing happens. It cannot decide where you want to go. So every time you need to make a choice around taking a portal, or there's a fork in the road in the path, or you've got to make another decision like claiming a box or something like that, it stops and it needs you to actually put input in again. I just think it'd be great to say, for example, if I hit autoplay and then it asks me, what path am I wanting to take? And say I decide, oh, I want to take this portal, this is going to take me across here, then I want to click this path to be able to go take out that Ghost, Wolverine, Black Panther, Gamora, Angela, Spider-Man, and then I want to take this portal and take it across there and defeat the boss. And then you select the choices in the path prior to the autoplay starting, and then you just let it run. But especially like story content or bigger quests, there's so many choices to make in the path and so many forks in the road that you've got to decide on that it just ends up being so time consuming anyway, because every time there's a fork in the road, you've got to decide where to go. Like on this quest, for example, say if I want to take this far left path, I'd have to decide, first of all, the initial turn to go left. I then have to decide which path to fork off there. I then have to decide which path to fork off after Symbiote Spider-Man. Then to decide which path to fork off after Gamora, all the way up to the final boss. And I just think that, you know, that's 4 inputs that you have to do where you might just be wanting to leave your phone to do its own thing. I just think it makes a whole lot of sense to be able to add that in and have that as a mechanic. Obviously, it's something where auto fight isn't really a goal for Kabam to make that as good as possible. It's designed to be kind of just a bit of a convenience to be able to tap that and include that. But I just think for players where you're trying to get a lot of the rewards and you don't necessarily need to be actively playing it, I just think it'd be nice. It might take a lot of work to implement. It might be complicated to do. Maybe they've thought of this previously and they decided not to because it was too complicated. But I just think it would be nice nice to see, and so that's why I've included it in this list as well. But guys, let me know what you think about all these things I've brought up. Is there a part of the game that you think it would make so much sense if they changed it slightly, or a mechanic that you think would be so much more convenient than what's happening now? Is there parts of the game that you think are just so slow and painful that they need an entire rework? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to talk about it there. But anyway, guys, that's gonna do it. That's all I wanted to go over today. Just have a bit of a complaining yap about things that are frustrating me in the game. If you like this video, make sure you hit like, hit subscribe so I know you're enjoying these videos as well. And that's gonna do it, guys. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.